Well, on the one hand, we don't want to pass laws that are, well, number one, blatantly unconstitutional. Number two, are going to basically make everybody a sitting duck by saying, yeah, you have to keep your firearm disassembled, encased, locked away on the other end of the house from your ammunition. And that means when someone's breaking in, you're like assembling a Lego set in the dark, trying to figure it out, right? That doesn't make sense either. So
Tom, we're talking about gun safety and gun storage, and I've been reading stories about 4,000 kids a year are killed by firearms, and the guns didn't kill them. Guns were involved in their death or something like that. And the discussion has turned to, should we make it a legal requirement as to how you are storing your firearms? Should they be, obviously gold standard is unloaded in a safe, ammunition separate. That's a great way to store your guns. I can hear people typing already and say, but what if someone breaks into my house? I won't have my gun. And I've said before, if you're more than 3 seconds away from your gun, you're unarmed. But it is a topic of discussion. It is gaining traction out there. Should there be a requirement on how we store our guns?
No.
Thank you very much, Tom. I love it when you do that to us, instead of it depends. I'm tracking with you on this one. I don't want it to be required. I want people to store it safely. I want people to be responsible for their own firearms. And there are all sorts of great options. The option I use is that I keep my gun in my holster on my hip until I go to bed. Then I put it right next to my bed. And then when I wake up in the morning, after my shower, I put my gun on with my clothes and I go about my day. It's the only gun that I own. I don't own any others or anything like that. And I don't have...
Dear ATF.
Yes, and I don't have tens of thousands. I recently moved to a new house, and that's when you know how much ammo you have. Holy cow. But I don't know, are we placating anti-gunners by saying, hey, folks, we need to store our guns properly?
There's already laws on the books for this.
Yeah.
There's already laws on the books. So in every state that I've seen, I have not looked over the laws of all 50 states plus districts, territories, and so forth. But in every state that I have looked at it, it is a crime if children gain access to your firearms and you're not there supervising them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's already laws that punish children taking access to your firearms. Mm-hmm. The question is exactly to what you said on, folks would roast you online or me online if we're like, yeah, absolutely. There should be a felony law here that says that you must keep your firearms in such a way that they're of absolutely no use to you in case you actually need them. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, that's obviously crazy, and I think would never pass the Second Amendment test at all. I think that on balance, the laws that we have make sense of like, look, do what you want, but be smart about it, because if you do it wrong, you're facing 3 years prison, misdemeanors, felonies, whatever the case may be. So I think
not to mention the tragedy of having a child get hurt with your gun. You got to
goes
live
without
with that.
saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that on balance, we have a good interest balancing approach to this of, well, on the one hand, we don't want to pass laws that are, well, number one, blatantly unconstitutional. Number two, are going to basically make everybody a sitting duck by saying, yeah, you have to keep your firearm disassembled, encased, locked away on the other end of the house from your ammunition. And that means when someone's breaking in, you're like assembling a Lego set in the dark, trying to figure it out, right? That doesn't make sense either. So I think that sensible people do something like what you said. Okay, and I'm not talking about showering in the mornings. I'm talking about, although perhaps that too. What I'm talking about is the fact that people ensure that their firearms have some sort of plan so that only they or the right people can gain access to them, period. And if you don't have some sort of safe storage, and if you cannot answer that question of, yes, everything's secure, no, there's no possibility anybody who I don't want to gain access can gain access, then all right, then you've got problems. You need to be able to affirmatively check those boxes.
Quick pause here to remind you that we have a super secret giveaway going on right now. It's absolutely free. Just click the link in the description down below to find out what you could win. Now back to the video. Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of gets me and pushes me to the edge to almost, say a bad word on camera is As I looked over this story from an online news source, which shall go unnamed, one of the photos they used to illustrate the story showed a Project Child Safe gun lock. And the caption just said, "Gun locks will save lives." And it showed a gun locked up with this, giving no credit to the gun industry. The NSSF runs Project Child Safe for putting out millions of gun locks. And when I hear people talk about gun control groups, and they refer to them as gun safety organizations, they've done nothing to help with gun safety. They teach no safety classes. They're not handing out gun locks. We are in the gun industry. We're donating that money in and making that happen. The ability to do that, to lock up guns and keep them safe, is out there. There are countless ways that people can do that. I'm with you on this one that no, there doesn't need to be yet another law that gets in the way of what gun owners should do responsibly for themselves.
I think the fundamental problem here that we have to acknowledge is that for the most part, and there's exceptions to everything, but for the most part, the sorts of people who are just leaving loaded firearms laying around for kids to gain access to are the same people that probably would not be discouraged by, these storage laws and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to, if they weren't changed by the fact that, number one, there's a moral imperative as a parent or guardian or something else like that, or just in general, there's a moral imperative to protect children. Number two, then, is the fact of, okay, so if people are not going to respond to that moral imperative, then if you put the teeth of some prosecution out there, like if they pass on one, what is two going to do? Considering the fact that there's already a law that's going to punish them exactly for that anyways. And these same people probably are not taking advantage of all these other free things that are out there as well. So it just seems to me like basically all the gun laws of, well, we're basically just going to punish the law-abiding good people and make their lives more difficult. And the people who statistically drive the problem are not going to be part of the solution.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not allowed to say that they're bad parents or irresponsible gun owners. It has to be the fault of the firearm. And that is something I simply do not abide. So thanks again. Always great insight, Tom. Wonderful talking to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin.
Before you go, you just missed one of our best videos that got over 500,000 views. Click right here to watch it now.